What would you do if someone refers to you with a word that's unnecessary or can be necessary to the situation? Do you act upon it with an absolute rage in an instant, or would you consider the depth of the word used against you? Tiruvalluvar once wrote this: செவியின் சுவை உணரா வாயுணர்வின் மக்கள் அவியினும் வாலினும் என். So yeah, finally we are doing a podcast after so long. Busy, and here we are finally doing a podcast. Me, you, Prakash, and yeah, how's it been? I mean, what's your take on it? Like, it's been a while, right? No,
It's been in the planning for a while, I think. I think we've been talking about this like, what, 2-3 years?
2-3 வருஷம் இருக்கும். And then, you know, me and Prakash, obviously we have been doing something on the side.
A smaller scale.
Smaller scale stuff.
Yeah.
And then, you know, finally we just figured that, you know, why don't we start something new? And today we're going to talk about something quite interesting, actually. It's going to be 3 Kelings talking about Keling. So I think I'll start with this episode with something that I feel I want to ask something like, what do we know about the word Keling? So on my part, I think the word Keling means a lot of things. First of all, it can be, you know, derogatory, it can be an insult to a person. But the history of it is quite muddled, actually, because if you think about it, right, everyone seems to have their own just definition to it. They have their own way of looking at it. And if you look back into history, there's a lot of it. You can even stretch back from Burma, you can stretch back to Philippines. There's even this recently case that just happened about the Iban killing and stuff like that, right? And from what I know, the Iban killings are quite mystical, I guess. They can actually shape shift or you know, like disappear or something like that. So அவனுங்க வந்து இப்படி இருக்கானுங்க. I mean, they're doing some kind of like magic and stuff like that. And then, you know,
There's us.
Yeah.
and we are the ones like, you know, getting, you know, either we get upset by it or we get, you know, we are fine with it. So we know, what do you think about the word Keling? Like, what do you know about the word Keling?
Okay, I grew up with a lot of non-Indians actually when during my younger days. So at that point of time, when I was a child, I think the word been always been thrown out at me, like, but it was in a very playful manner. You know, I didn't know that I should take offense or I shouldn't, because you know, it was just like something that they always do.
Yeah.
But I never felt like kecil hati or what at that point of time. I mean, I still don't really feel very kecil hati unless it's being thrown at you or at me in a very specific manner lah. Okay, so I think there's a few angles we can look at it. The historical angle to it, there's an historical angle to it, and then there's by definition I don't know what's the actual definition. I think none of us will be able to pinpoint it.
Yeah, I guess that's
one
pretty
single
much
origin,
same thing.
right?
Yeah.
But there's two ways lah that I look at it. One, it can be a very normal term that's being used by another race without being derogatory. That's one. But at the same time, it can be also a very big insult. But it all depends on the context and how they throw it lah.
Yeah.
But I think in a generally, if we're speaking generally, right, I think it's an insult lah.
Okay.
On a larger scale, I think it's an insulting word towards Malaysian Indians specifically. And then if you go to North Malaysia, then it's a total different story. So I think Prakash will have a different perspective, because I think you have a very unique upbringing and your background, right? So I think you can touch a bit on that, and then you can just go on with the definition of the word.
Yeah. So what I know, I actually have two different main definitions of the word from where I grew up. And I grew up in a predominantly Chinese area. And this during 80s and 90s, it was easily 97% Chinese in that area. Okay. Indians were very little. Malays were much more lesser. You can actually just find a row of houses which were just Malays. Very little. So this word was in heavy rotation during the 80s and 90s. Heavy rotation, not as in some guy just runs to my house and just screams Keling and runs off. No. But basically, everyone uses it as a colloquial form of addressing an Indian person. Not addressing an Indian person, but referring to an Indian person. So, for example, you go to a shop, you order something, they'll just point to kok keling chai, like that, or keling po, like that. That's it. So, it's not derogatory, or they didn't use it in an offensive manner. In fact, if they wanted to insult us in a racist manner, right, they had other terms to do it.
Yeah.
Hak wai, hak chai. Or, classic annene, apu nene, this kind of stuff. They didn't see this word as a weapon against us because to them, they've just been using it as same as how Indians, right? We refer to the Chinese as Sadeans.
Yes.
Right? It's pretty much the same, but some of us Indians use it in a very derogatory manner as well. Although the origins is not supposed to be derogatory. Okay, so the next thing I know about it is during high school in Bahasa Melayu class, when our teacher was talking about local slangs, and somehow she brought up this word to just explain a bit why is this word there and all that. So she's a Malay teacher, right? And before everyone takes up their pitchforks, her definition was that the word has always been around.
Yeah.
She does not know where it came from, but they have been using it. But the word was not even linked to the Indians originally. That's her point of view. That's what she has learned. So in her point of view, the word keling was originally used to describe dirty people. People who are dirty, regardless of what race they are, if they are dirty. For example, if their legs are dirty, kaki keling or rumah keling, like that only.
Janji
Right?
keling.
But, right?
This is a revelation actually.
Yeah. Someone in the comments is going to tell this is all rubbish, but that's the whole point. There's so many origins to this word, you don't know what is the true origin. So, apa sebabnya perkataan ni dikaitkan dengan orang India, right? Because she said the Indians back then, they were brought in as laborers.
Yeah.
They work in railway stations or in the rubber estates and all that, right? So they are always dirty because of the work.
Yeah.
They're perceived to be dirty. Hence, the word was unfortunately linked to them, right? And then it became, synonymous in that unfortunate way, right? But somehow, somewhere, it got warped into an offensive term. So, and that's where I realized there's a negative connotation to this word. And then I went on to ask the older Chinese people, why are they using this word? There's some older Chinese men, like former gangsters and all that, who I know, and I went and asked them. Don't ask me why was I hanging out with older Chinese gangsters buying contrabands. So their story is a little bit different. So what they say is the same thing, more or less, like my Malay teacher did. The word has been there. The word has been passed down to them. But their logic is that back then when the Indians migrated here, the Indian ladies like to wear a lot of jewelry. These big earrings and anklets. And the sound it makes. Kling, ling, ling. Their logic is that this word is there, that sound is there, that's it.
Right.
Yeah. So it was not meant to be, offensive in that sense, in the origin. That sense. This is coming from my side. There may be a lot of other stories because when I asked the Indians back then, because there's no Google, no one knew about Kalinga, right?
Yeah.
They don't know. They just say that, the Chinese people always call us Keling. Some sounded offended, don't know why, but some don't care. So I'm in the don't care side,
Yeah.
whatever. So, that's what I know about it. And, to me, it's just a word. Yeah.
Okay, I think this is something I feel like I want to ask either one of you guys. Like, have you ever been directly been called a keling, like straight in your face, like in your life? Has it ever happened to you or something like that?
Many times, I think few hundred times to be honest with you, when I was a kid. But it was thrown in a very playful manner,
Casual sense.
Casual this one, They don't go, "Oi, keling," like that. They just say, "Oi, keling," like that. Like, "What you?" Or "What China?" like that. No, it's like that.
Yeah.
But I was at that age where I didn't take offense because I thought it was normal. I mean, like in that context, it's probably normal because they mean no harm.
Yeah.
They didn't mean it in a very this one. So this one comes from family upbringing, whatever they've learned throughout with their family, their friends, and everything, So it's not necessarily they are aware of the word that whether it's insult or it's a terrible word to use against an Indian person. The worst part is even I didn't know about it, right? So I don't expect them to know also.
Yeah.
But this was in early 90s lah. But moving forward, as I relocated and changed schools and everything. But then I was in Subang Jaya for a while, up to my SPM, and to be honest, I've not heard anyone saying that to my face or other friends or whatever, because we always hang out in like group of ethnic groups, right? Usually the Indians are with the Indians, the Chinese are with the other. But in my school, there was like mostly there was always a mix lah. There's always people hanging out in a mix, this one crowd like that. So I don't see that racism or insult in that sense is very rampant during my teens. But to answer your question, I don't think I pernah kena like that lah. Kena like right now, oh Keling, blah 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 blah. No, I don't think so lah. Also, I don't cari pasal with anyone, so that can be a reason.
Yes. Because I think roughly, I mean, someone's not going to just flat out call you a Keling straight to your face unless you either provoking them or maybe you're doing something that can irritate them lah. But in saying all that, also I'm also thinking that it's not something that you should also say lah. Like you're pissed with someone, that kind of tiba-tiba you want to go and say, "Wait, Keling," just to prove a point, right? So I'm guessing in my experience, I've never been called a Keling directly to my face. அது மாதிரிலாம் நடந்ததே இல்லை என் வாழ்க்கையில். But I think it just this effect, this word of it, right? People get offended by it or get either get triggered by it is roughly, I guess, from social media lah. Because when you look at social media usage and stuff, you see people like it's more open there to say Keling, and you have like this folks that get upset by the word Keling in the comment section lah. So என்னை கேட்டால் அந்த டைரக்ட் சொல்றது வந்து மூஞ்சில நேராக சொல்றது வந்து like Keling has a much more bigger impact than getting the word Keling on social media. That's how I would look at it lah. But granted, it's the same effect of using that word lah. But lately, I think I've shared with you guys before. So during my working time or something like that, I think about a couple of weeks ago, I was called a pendatang. Like randomly. I was like what? Like why suddenly pendatang, for no reason, right? But it was just during just a casual conversations and stuff, and I was just talking about passports, and I think that guy was telling about you need to get passport in order to do this job and stuff like that, and he was using me as a reference. It was just it's a very normal manner lah.
I think maybe because sometimes it's common these days.
Yeah,
we have a lot of Indian expats here, right? So it's quite common when they meet us. Sometimes they will think we are from India. There's a lot of projects which I have faced staff from local companies, right? And often they will ask if I only can speak English because they think I'm from India, despite the fact my accent is right. I literally, if you put a screen in front of me, you will think this is an abeng, right? But they will still ask me, are you able to only speak English? Can you speak Malay? I tahu cakap Melayu. So it's common lah. They see a lot of Indian expats. They think that
Yeah. So going back to that story, right? I was just playfully joking around lah, saying like என்ன சொன்னேன்னா, sampai hati kau cakap aku tak ada passport. Then they're like, yelah sebab kau pendatang. That was the reaction from that guy, and I was like that was unnecessary. Like, why do you need to say that? But I took upon it like something like where do I need to get offended by it or do I like need to start like table flip பண்ணி யாரா இந்த மாதிரி கேட்குறேன் நீ யாரா கேட்கணுமா அந்த மாதிரிலாம் எனக்கு தோணல. But it's something that I would believe that I'm not going to try to sound like a boomer here, but I would say something the kids today lack that kind of an exposure. They usually just see something on social media and then they just flip off right from that lah.
They react
so in essence, I don't think the usage of Keling is like happening like every single day. But we don't know lah. Maybe behind the scenes, let's say I'm talking to somebody here and then I just walk off and then like that the Keling fella lah, that Keling guy.
But I think to be completely honest with this in this story's context, right? I think pendatang is a bigger insult than Keling. Actually, because actually like the word Keling, it has many moving parts. There's another component
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
That's historical
Yeah.
angle, and then there's like the sound angle.
Yes.
And then your teacher's story. That's another angle that
That's a
I've
different
never heard of.
angle.
But it's an interesting perspective. But pendatang is just flat out pendatang. It's just,
Yeah,
you're an
yeah.
immigrant,
I think that's more offensive
Yeah.
than just the
I'm guessing it's just how we just take upon the word lah. I mean, when someone just says something like that, it depends on how you accept it. Some people might feel easily offended by it. They might get upset. It's like, who are you to tell me pendatang? Yeah, அப்பா was farmers here. Yeah, தாத்தா அது பண்ணாருங்க கொள்ளு தாத்தா அது கிழிச்சாருன்னு சொல்லிக்கிட்டு இருப்பானுங்க. But I feel it's just how you react to it lah. But yeah, it was unnecessary. But anyways,
I think it's completely okay for you to take offense when
Yeah.
when in social media people throw the word around like it's no one's business because there's no repercussions to it.
Correct.
There's no consequences, bigger consequences to it lah. Because come on, not only other races throw insult words to Indians on social media, but then I think the Indians also do the same. All the races, they just tupran each other. That's always been around. Right? It's just that now it's more evident because it doesn't. Instead of happening in real life, it happens online. So it's being presented to you.
It's a bit more rampant.
Yeah. So my thing is, you can take offense. I'm not saying no. You want to feel insulted, yes, but up to what degree do we take it?
Also, is context matters a lot.
Yeah, true.
So where I live now, nobody will know where I live. There's still a very it's a Chinese village per se, right? There's a lot of more non-city Chinese people. I'm not going to come out and say no, they're not racist or whatnot lah. They're just normal people. They still use the term. Also, again, to describe an Indian person, not to offend. Okay, the guy I go to buy soya bean from like almost every day, the guy still refers to me as Keling Chai. But I don't go to the shop with a parang lah, because I know that the guy is just describing me, give the soya bean to this guy. That's it. That's what he's saying. Context matters. I'm not going to go there and educate this guy because this guy is not in Facebook. He's not on Twitter, nothing. He probably doesn't know what is going on and he doesn't care. All he cares is I pay him the $2 for soya bean, we're done. Right? So, yeah, context matters. But when I go online and, someone decides to insult me, using the word, maybe I'll be I'm a bit indifferent to it because of how I was brought up. But maybe for me, it's right to be offended if someone decides to use it in an offensive manner. But yeah, context matters a lot.
yeah. Speaking of which, I think even sorry, I think I told you guys I haven't been called a Keling in my life. I think I was, but that was like many years ago. I think about 10, 11 years old. And like what how your lifestyle has been. My childhood also is predominantly with the Malay community.
Same.
So with them, I would say my exposure to it with them is even more, with the Indians and also the Chinese people. And then I remember back then when we were kids, early 10, 11 years old, stuff like that, just hang out at cyber cafes. We go to like mesin kuda and all that, put all the coins inside and mesin kuda. Those were the days lah. Okay, so அதெல்லாம் விளையாண்டுக்கிட்டு இருப்போம். Then I remember there was one particular incident when we were playing this multiplayer game or something like that. And we had this bunch of guys, like 4 to 5 guys. One of them is like, I would say more of like a mutual friend or something. And then the guy was saying like, okay, this fella, nama dia apa letak ni? Dia ni letak Jalan Keling. I'm like, okay. It's something like I feel like I don't have to. I was not in a state of shock or upset or offended.
You just didn't know how to react.
Yeah, what is that? Like, அது மாதிரி தான் தோணும் அந்த டைம்ல.
But sometimes it could be playful. Depends.
Yeah. But in saying all that, it's not just we are here to say that, this particular community is calling us Keling, or that particular community is calling us Keling. நம்ம கம்யூனிட்டியில் கம்யூனிட்டியில் கூட சொல்லிக்கிட்டு இருப்பானுங்க. It's quite common actually. And I'm guessing even like, for the likes of, I don't want to touch into caste here or whatever, but certain subsections of the Indian community pun ada. They will just say,
that's a whole another episode.
Yeah. அந்த Keling போறான் பாரு அந்த மாதிரிலாம் இருக்கும். And I've heard stories of like that as well. So for me, the word, what do we know about it, is like, it's vast lah. There's so many ways of looking at it lah. Then I think moving on, like what I would like to see, I mean, I would like to get your guys' opinion on it. It's like, is it completely wrong for you to use the word killing? Like, what do you guys think? Like, podcast, do you think it's completely wrong to use killing?
No, okay, this is a bit of a gray area, but okay, I think the word is irrelevant in my opinion. But is it wrong to use it? Do we have to go and stop people from using it? No. It's not wrong in that sense. Like I said, context matters. So let me give a good example of context. Recently, our Prime Minister, right, there was a big hoo-ha online because he used the word, right? Can we say it's wrong? Because we have to see the context he used it in. He was giving a speech and he was referring to a material which had the word, right? So someone decided to take like a short clip of that, posted it online, and decided to cause trouble with that, okay? And then proceeded to ask for donations for their non-registered NGO so they can fight against using the word, right? Please don't donate to this kind of fellas. Now, coming back to our Prime Minister. If you spend 10 to 15 seconds extra watching his video, you will realize he was referring to a material. He was not calling out someone just like that, right? Context matters. Is it wrong for him to use the word? No, because he is referring to, So we cannot say whether it's right or wrong. Should we use it or not use it? In fact, I think personally that if I come out and say now that we shouldn't use the word Keling, we shouldn't even be recording this episode because we are banking on the word for your views. So yeah, to me, no, it's not wrong to use the word, but context matters a lot. Yeah.
What about you?
I share the same sentiment also, like context. It's all about context, really, So like, if it's gonna be thrown at you, meant as an insult right to your face, take offense.
Yes.
You have the right to
Call
take
it out.
offense. Yeah.
Yes.
You can call it out. You can confront them. Like, what is this? Okay. But my best friend in school was a Malay guy. He still is. We were in touch and all that. I mean, like, very good friends still. But if he was to come and call me or message me and say, "Wait, Keling," like that, I won't take offense.
Yeah.
I like, I won't even ask that. Like it's normal. It's very
normal,
playful,
yeah.
right? But then if someone want to cari pasal with you, say, "Well, Keling," okay, you can take offense lah.
Yeah.
But then if you're gonna take offense at the word, then it shifts from that situation or whatever situation that you guys fighting about. Then it's gonna shift to this word. Now it's
Then
this now.
that's where
This
it
is a
goes-
different thing
yeah.
really now. But if it's gonna be thrown at you as a racial slur, take offense, call it out.
Yes.
It's your right.
Call it out.
It's fine. But don't go on it lah.
Yeah, yes.
That's what I'm saying lah. Don't go gila.
Don't have a stick up your bum.
Yeah.
I think it's slightly touching on that part, on the PMX thing, whatever it may be. I guess people actually like blow it out of proportion.
Yes.
Obviously, that not to say that we should not get upset by it. I can understand people trying to feel, be offended by that word, because granted, some of them, I would try to look at it in a point of view of those people who are being offended. Maybe these kind of people are like, they just live their daily lives routine like a normal person,
Yes.
9 to 5 go to work, balik rumah, cook something or ask their wife like why the sambar is not boiling properly or whatever and stuff like that. Then, right after that, they just go on social media or they read something on the news and then
They just lose
it said
it.
that, the Prime Minister said the word Keling and, you need to be offended by it. Sometimes it can actually affect them because in their point of view, எப்படி இருக்கும்னா it's like, நான் நார்மலாக தான் இருக்கேன், நான் வந்து வேலைக்கு போகிறேன், I do my stuff, I pay my dues, I pay my taxes.
Law-abiding citizen lah.
I'm a law-abiding citizen, like what you said. And then why am I being, still looked at it in that form? Whether the word Keling is offensive or not, அது பிரச்சனை இல்லை. The mere fact that I'm still looked at as Keling.
This word. Yeah. Okay.
So maybe for them it could be macam, why am I still being looked at in that sense lah? And then going on to a few select individuals who feel like it's their
Duty.
duty.
God-given duty.
Duty or responsibility to take this thing and blow it out of proportion, like I said. These people also, when you போய் நோண்டி போய் பார்த்தா அவனுங்களாம் வந்து ஒண்ணுமே, I mean, not to say that we are like some kind of multi-millionaires here sitting here or what, But if you go and look into, just do like a simple search on this person, you will know this fella is really sorry for those, so using that kind of words lah. But I think I don't want to swear too much, so I'm trying
It's
to
a vulgar word, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to filter my words here, but yeah, they're basically ஒன்றுமே இருக்காது, வேலை இருக்காது, ஒன்றும் செய்ய மாட்டான், வீட்டில் தான் இருப்பான், probably procreating like 5 or 6 kids பெற்று தள்ளிக்கிட்டு இருப்பான். Then after that, the next thing that they will do is just go on online social media, probably begging for their wives for data packages or something to use on the phone or whatever to see. அதில் பார்த்துக்கிட்டு இவர் சொல்லிட்டார் இந்த மாதிரி, நான் வந்து ஒரு citizen of Malaysia வந்து நான் என்ன பண்ணணும், should I get should I start like some kind of revolution, or should I just start like some kind of post or whatever, and then making unnecessary videos like pointing in it. I'm like, hey, I'm challenging you lah. Hey, you come here, talk to me lah. I'm representing all the Indians. These kind of fellas, surprisingly, they can actually. And the worst part, that's what I really, until now I cannot brain, is this kind of people actually can generate a lot of following and interest.
Yes.
Because some of them, they feel like macam those who want to follow him or those who align with his views, they secretly have this kind of mindset within them, And then when they see someone who goes on like, I'm challenging you lah, hey, you come here and meet me lah, 1v1 lah, பேசலாம் lah, பண்ணலாம் அப்படி பண்ணலாம்னு சொல்லும்போது, they feel like, and the வீரம், the துடிப்பு is that they cannot project is on this person. But this person, is he the right person for the community? That's the bigger question, And when you go and dig about this person, not to say that you need to be a CID Shankar or whatever, go and dig the fella and find out, அவன் வந்து அப்படி then we, but when you see the credibility of that person, if that person is at least, I won't say need to be like book smart or street smart, just educated. An educated person knows what he's talking about. He can bring out proper arguments to the table or whatever, and he's not been a con artist or whatever. I'm guessing that kind of person is more okay for you to follow and to just go with their views lah. This is another problem that we face also lah. I mean, it's going off track a bit, but yeah, that's another thing I feel macam.
It's off track, but it's a good topic for discussion one day.
Yeah.
The kind of people some people attract.
Because these kind of people like mentioned, I know like a few personalities like that, right? So basically, they think whatever they're doing is like you say, it's revolutionary or it's a revolution, start a revolution. It's a very Tamil movie plot, I don't know, like it's directly they're taking references from there, or it's just deep down in your subconscious, it's just there because all these movies you've been watching since you were a kid, and then you start to do something like this where you want to basically you just want to get mileage, some sort of mileage, or you want to gain popularity, you want to get followers. That is all fine, but at what cost? What are you what are you exchanging it for love? So and how does it look in the eyes of other people, other races, or even Indians out of Malaysia? What will they think of the society and what these guys are doing? Why is it like this and all that? But அந்த மாதிரி ஆளுங்கலாம் இருக்காங்க, நம்ம ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாது. So we have to do like our part and be more civilized about it and be a bit better lah in that sense, right? So Vicky, you can continue.
Just to add on, speaking of Indians from other countries, they don't know this term.
True.
Yeah, we have now come across Indians from other countries. For example, Canadian Tamils or French Tamils, even Indians from everywhere else. They don't really know this term. They don't really know. Even if you tell them about Kalinga,
still not related to. I think Kalinga, the region of Kalinga, it wasn't even in South, right?
Yeah, it's supposedly not in
it's
the
Odisha.
South.
It's Odisha.
So it's something that is more prominent here in Singapore, I guess. That's it. So somewhere along the way, someone used it and then it got warped.
Yeah.
Similar to the word Negro.
Yeah.
Right? It's not supposed to be a derogatory word. It's supposed to mean black in Spanish.
Spanish, I think,
right?
Spanish.
Negrito.
Even if you buy watercolor also,
it's
the
still
expensive
right
one
there.
is still
Negro.
So somewhere along the way, it got warped. It's not our place to say whether it's right or wrong lah. That is a different topic. But it's similar, It's on the same light,
Speaking of which, and the Negro use பண்றது வந்து, like you see the African Americans or the black people, they use the word Negro to one another. This one, I mean, அரிச்சமா வரிச்சமா மாதிரி தான் பேசிக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். In like a black guy can just call him another guy. Then God forbid lah, someone says like a white guy or something says the word nigger, they flip their tables and
lose it,
stuff.
yeah.
They lose it, okay? But here, இன்னொரு ஃபனியான விஷயம் என்னன்னா, sometimes we see our people also tend to do that. They macam, I would say more or less the younger generations, I guess. They feel like I'm Kelings with pride.
They are sensationalizing the word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I remember we were sharing some videos.
Yeah, I mean the other day so we were
I
talking
had to
about
roll
this.
my eyes so hard. I cannot.
Yeah, it's a bit what do you call? It's a bit weird lah when they are the very same people who fight against the usage of the word, but they go out and glorify it at the same time. Pick one side or the other.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. In terms of that, like, I mean, like moving on from the other stuff lah. Something I feel like macam I can see from some other quarters of people, especially the Indian people, when they get thrown this word, Keling, so it's in their right mind or whatever, in their justification, like I need to like go to this person and tell them like, hey, you need to stop using the word Keling. You know why? Because I'm not really a Keling. Either like an example, I'm not really a Keling because Kelings are from from Kalinga, and then like they are people from Odisha, so they are not related to me. They speak in a different language. I'm a South Indian, so I don't have to be Keling. That's one group of people like that. Another one like I'm a Keling, so what lah? நான் வந்து நல்ல பரம்பரை, நான் வந்து Kalinga பரம்பரை. Sometimes some of them don't even know the real history of it. Even today we are talking about it.
We are openly admitting we don't know.
Yeah, our information might be
Giving
incorrect.
different accounts of it.
Yeah.
You cannot pinpoint it to like.
So it's very warped like அது ஒரு மடலான ஒரு situation தான். So but in saying all that, right, do you think it's necessary for us to go around and telling like people from non-Indians, like do we need to go out there and educate them like, oh, you should not use this, or do we need to do all that? Like, what do you think?
Who said Prakash said just now. I think again context matters lah. Why I'm saying it, if online on Facebook or whatever on other social media, like you see a person who's not Indian throwing this word just to insult you. There's no point of you to go and tell him, hey, you shouldn't use this. He knows it 100%. He shouldn't use it.
Listen,
Okay, because it's meant at an insult. But like you say, like your Chinese uncle, aunties like that, if you want to take offense, and you can just tell them off, uncle, actually now 2024, it's not very nice to use this word. I think they will listen. Yeah. Necessary or not, I don't know. It all comes down to us lah. Like, are we going to take offense or not? Because if you see, the one is like some 85 years old uncle. He's used to this term. There's one. You want to keep quiet, you keep. But if you want to tell him, go ahead. Probably he will change also. So
he might,
he might lah. So, but moving forward, I think sooner or later this thing will start to fizzle slowly lah. People gonna probably use it lesser, or actually I don't know. I can't say also. Maybe it's going to be lesser, or it's going to be like a bit gila also on the usage lah. But I think moving forward, it's going to be a word that's exclusively for insults.
Yeah.
Rather than, because these uncles are all like in 20 years they're going to
they'll be gone.
They'll be gone. So that whole generation where
they have already learned there's
the definition
connotation to it.
Yeah, their definition of the word was different. Those people are slowly going away. And what's we're going to be just left with people who's going to use it as an insult lah. So if you want to educate them, I don't think so. You should, because they know very well what they're doing.
Yeah, because if you think about it, a lot of I would say I would give credit to some. I mean, leading up to this episode, also I actually did some. I would say like some soul searching over the internet. So I had like a couple of content and media out there. Like some of them, they were very. How to say, they were very semangat lah. Sama semangat dah போட்டு ஒரு வீடியோ செய்றாங்க. Like why I need to explain to you what Keling means and where does the word come from? How is it like used in a derogatory manner and stuff like that. But for me, when I look at them, I appreciate the effort lah. I really appreciate the effort, because they seem to do something where they feel like macam, if I were to do this, maybe there will be a slimmer chance that somebody from the outside of Indians might take into like consideration, like okay, இதுதான் அந்த வார்த்தை, so I'm not going to use it anymore. It's good to be hopeful, but like what you said, if a guy willingly says the word Keling, hey Keling or something like that, and then you tell them, hey, kau sini kau, aku nak ajar kau macam mana penggunaan Keling tu salah. So I will tell you, okay, Keling sebenarnya datang daripada golongan Kalingga. I think you're giving like some kind
That
of...
guy has no time for this.
Yeah, that fella got no time. That fella probably like, ni என்னடா பேசிக்கிட்டு இருக்கேன்னு. But no, I mean, in different language lah, obviously. He's not going to be... he's not going to be very impressed by whatever you have to say lah. But despite that, I think people who go out to like educate others on the usage of Keling is good. But do we need to? Like, I don't think so lah. என்னைய கேட்டா தேவையில்ல. Because அவன் சொல்லிட்டு தான் இருப்பான். It's like how we choose to accept that person lah. They want to abuse lah. இது ஒரு அபியூஸ்னு சொல்லிக்கிட்டு இருந்தா, many people goes through abuse in different
But I'm also against the idea, like whatever you said just now, you know, that idea of taking that word and, you know, when you try to flip it around, where each other, we just talk like how the African Americans do, right? I think that's an absurd idea.
That is
yes. Probably it's our age also lah. Okay, he's a bit younger, I think. Because I think like...
I'm very old, by the way.
We don't want to be like calling each other among our friends, Keling. So I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's necessary. And I don't think that it should be celebrated in such a way where it's going to be a permanent identity among our people.
What do you think about that, Prakash? Like, do you need to educate? Like,
No.
What do you guess?
Okay, first things first, I'm going to come out straight. Not as in come out. We will never eradicate racism from this world. Accept the reality of it. You can fight against it, whatever. That is never going to be eradicated. Same thing, we are never going to eradicate the usage of this word. It may go less because the word is sort of irrelevant, but if someone decides to use it offensively, like you all have mentioned, it's no point of us to go and educate them. They are not going to bother. Why? Their mindset is as such already, right? We are not, I don't like to use the word, but we are not Nazis. We are not supposed to go and educate these people, put them in a camp, and then tell them this word is wrong, this word is right. No, it doesn't work that way. There are people who are nice, there are people who are nasty. We just have to accept that. So, whether it's to my opinion, whether it's this old uncle, 95-year-old uncle who's going to use the word inoffensively, or the guy who's coming and just throwing it at your face offensively, I don't think we need to educate them. Because the ones who are using it inoffensively, let it be with them. Let them, you know, I think ignorance is bliss. They are living in ignorance. It's bliss. They are happy with me, I'm happy with them. I don't need to create that rift with them, going and telling them, uncle, this is wrong. You cannot say this. If not, you cannot talk to me anymore. No, I cannot do that. He calls me like that, you know, he calls me inoffensively like that, I'm fine. You know, I can live with him. He lives with me. The guy who comes and calls me like that offensively, I don't need to go and punch the guy's face. Although I can. I can. I don't need to bother. Because the guy is not my friend, not worth my time. You know, I got a lot of other things to do, like recording this, hoping for your views. So, yeah. So no, I don't think we need to educate people. We should just leave it as it is. The word will either, it has evolved from what it was we discussed earlier to it became warped to something bad. Maybe evolve, we don't know, right? Or it will just die off. Doesn't matter.
Okay, but to be fair, I agree with what you say. Yes, correct. But to be fair to other races also, like if you go to Facebook and you see, let's say a Malay or Chinese calling an Indian, calling bodoh lah, this one, you don't see them going easy on the Malay guy as well. You know, they immediately eye for an eye.
Oh yeah, they go eye for an eye.
Go berserk also.
That's why I say we
so
don't need to do it lah. You know, the guy comes and says it. I don't need to go back eye for an eye, which doesn't make a difference. That means if I'm trying to prove that guy is bad for calling me that one, and then I decide to racially insult him, right? That means I'm in the same level as that guy. What's
exactly.
the difference?
Yeah. So there's no difference. And you see like all these articles like involving like the Malays or, you know, people of other religion than, you know, Hindu or this one, whatever is it. There's always the other races will make fun of these people.
Yes.
And when it shifts to another article, you see like these two will make, you know, it's a
like
never ending circle. It's a vicious circle.
And
Actually,
they love
it's
to
been
do
going
it
on and
behind
on.
a computer or behind a phone screen. They love to do that.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't make you any better because if you are making noise against another person on the phone, come on lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When in saying all that, right, another thing I would like to just point out, like, why would someone want to use the word killing on you though? Like, நீ வந்து ஒழுங்கா இருக்கியா? Are you doing something that can actually, like, you know,
I mean, it's fair enough. You see,
get a reaction from that
Yeah.
person to say, wait, killing.
are you well behaved to start with?
Yeah.
lah?
Yeah, actually, like you know, if you have an Indian guy who's graduated from a college and you know comes from a very hard background, I think you see people of all races congratulating him, everything,
Yeah.
right? You know, when you do something stupid, right? Most of the time, when you do something stupid,
Yeah.
where even I feel like calling them some, you know, you know,
I see a news with a guy like, guy caught robbing and the guy has a parang and then you see his name already, right? Like, I don't know lah.
Oh my God.
there's recently.
I'm sorry. Like, whatever, right? You straight away scream, Nila Pranga Keling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you see another guy, like, let's use a better example, becomes a NASA scientist, you congratulate him, right?
Like
Good
there's
killing.
near my house, near my area, there was this case where this guy who got so drunk and went and slept in front of a bank, and he got crushed to death by the shutter.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You remember the case? Like
yes,
a couple of weeks back, right?
Yeah,
First question I asked, Indian.
yeah.
Then he said, Ayala, Indian. Like, what do we do? You know, how do you want us to react or how others to react?
Yeah.
You know, it's like it has all the right recipes there, you know. Drunk in front of the bank, slapped, crushed by a shutter, man. Come on.
I mean, until now, I'm not even going to call this racist lah, but sometimes if I'm walking in an alley and I see an old auntie, right, she clutches to the back.
That happens
you know,
to me.
She
So.
takes out a parang herself to defend. I'm not going to blame her because, you know, so it is unfortunate we are stereotyped that way lah, but yeah, you know, these are all factors lah, all factors in it lah, you know. Yeah.
It's quite. I mean, at one point it is a bit upsetting, you know, when you think about how, you know, people perceive us to be like that. Like, even for us, I mean, I can speak for myself, I can speak for both of you guys. Even if we, you know, we head out, do something good in our life or doing, I mean, we are not trying to like rob a store or try to like, you know, like go and cari pasal with people. We do get that kind of an impression that we are problematic, you know?
Yeah.
And when you really think about it, right? Not all, but a good certain percentage of us, they live up to that stereotype. And that stereotype, from that stereotype, the word killing comes out. But in saying all that, that person using the word killing, so அவன் வந்து நல்லவன்னு சொல்ல மாட்டேன். You are enabling it in a way.
Yeah.
Without realizing it, you're enabling it. And you compare to the other people in this country, the ones that really flip up the table instantly is us when the word killing is used. Sometimes when you think about it again, killing sola sollu potta, you know. I mean, I'm not saying you have to follow exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, I'm not here to teach you. I'm not trying to, like, you know, உங்களை தான் வந்து என் பேச்சு கேளுங்க, நான் வந்து அடுத்த தீர்க்கதரிசியோ இல்லை அதெல்லாம் சொல்ல வரல. What I'm trying to say is, if you know how to manage your emotions and control your emotions for certain cases or something like that, like I mentioned earlier, when randomly out of nowhere sebang kau pun datang, and then if I were to like react badly to it, at the end of the day I will still like in a way live up to that stereotype. பாத்தியா அவன் வந்து கொஞ்சம் சொன்னோனே உடனே கோவப்படுறான் பாத்தியா, you know, நீ lah dorang memang macam tu lah. But on the flip side, if you try to manage your emotions, maybe they might think like, you know, this fella is a bit okay lah. Not to say that, again, I'm not trying to say இதுதான் நல்லது இதுதான் கரெக்டான பாதைன்னு சொல்ல வரல, but you must know lah what you do at the end of the day lah.
Cerminkan diri dulu lah.
Self-reflection, very important.
Correct. And then, you know, another thing which is, I think we roughly touched upon it lah, but we can just think about this whole word killing again. Do you in your right mind think that this word killing will ever stop being used by us, the other race or whatever? Do you think it will eventually stop? With all the things that we said earlier, by education, by telling people, no, you shouldn't use this word, it is very loud. But do you think sometime in the future, maybe, you know, it will eventually stop?
I think it's going to take few more generations maybe lah. It's a long way to go lah. Actually, I don't see it's happening in our lifetime. Definitely no. I don't think it's happening in our lifetime where the usage of racial slurs being eradicated in daily conversations. I don't think that's gonna go away. I also don't think it's gonna go away on social media unless you're gonna be policed by somebody or what, like a gila kind of level until they're gonna comb out all comments and they're gonna vet you out and see. It's happening now, like to a certain degree. You cannot talk about XYZ topics and all that. Automatically you'll get cancelled. Not cancelled, your account will be barred and whatever, because those are sensitive things. Right? But I don't think calling that word exclusively is so sensitive until you have to do all that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's gonna go away anytime soon. Like, it's gonna be there. But I think slowly it's not going to be a form of identification, like a form of identity among the old people, because they are slowly passing on and all that. So if that's not happening, if all the people are gone, like I said just now, then it's going to be used as insult, particularly as an insult. Betul-betul terang-terang as an insult. But I also don't see people throwing it out in public. This is going to be like exclusively online only, I think.
No one's blatantly using it.
So to answer your question, I don't think it's going to go away. But if it does also, it's going to take a long time.
I don't think it will go away anyways, because if you think about it, the word killing is also used on certain like buildings or even in literature. Like what recently happened with the Prime Minister.
The literature.
He was referring to the literature, and then to like a bit, right, to go a bit back in time, our previous Prime Minister also used that word, and in his point of view, it's just like that's how we actually call the people back in the day. Dia orang Keling lah. Dia panggil dia orang Keling lah. So tak boleh nak cakap.
He has a point actually. He had a point.
He has a point.
But I don't know, on his in his position, I don't know, like he should be like so relax about it lah. He could have taken some this one lah. But that's.
But it's from his POV, whether or not you are a fan of him or not, right? He's talking about it from a person of his age, which is normal to him. So, yeah, I mean, some of us do chastise him for it. Some of us don't, but you just have to look at it from that point of view lah. You're not just going to tell him to change overnight. He's not going to do it, right? He's been a powerful man for so many years. He's not going to simply change for one small word.
Right. So what do you think, Prakash? Do you think that word will ever stop? Do you feel like it will be stopped?
Hot take. I don't think the word is going to stop, and I don't think it should stop. Context. Put down the pitchforks. Why? So I don't think it will stop because, like you said, there's even a building with that word. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. Unless they destroy the building, which won't happen. I don't know why it should
that will be another problem
right?
as well.
Yeah. So that's one. And secondly, I think unless it naturally dies off, unless that word naturally dies off, right? I don't see a point in killing it. The word can just be around. Maybe not as common anymore, or maybe not as blatantly anymore, but I don't think the usage of the word should stop. It's wishful thinking of me, and I know it'll never happen, but I wish we can go back to the innocent times when the word was
used playfully, just that.
Playfully, used as a reference, But I don't want it to be just like everyone rapid fires the word lah. But it's a word like a normal word. Like for example, the word flabbergasted. No one's using it, but it's there. So it's just there for people to use, for people to refer back to the more innocent times lah. Wishful thinking is never going to happen, especially with things like Twitter around.
Yeah.
So
X.
But that's what I wish, and that's what I want for it to happen. So, put the pitchforks down and just hear the context of what I mean when I said it should not stop. That I want it to be cleansed again. That's all. Yeah.
Another thing to take home is the fact that I think more or less the majority of Malaysians, I feel like there is like jurang perpisahan antara the three major races lah. So like I said, back then we have like a lot of Malay friends, we have a lot of Chinese friends. I don't sound like a government officer here, like we kita hidup masyarakat macam no, I'm not trying to say that. We are slowly being separated from time to time lah. Yeah, like I remember once you said, our what we consume as in terms of entertainment.
Yeah.
You once said, I mean, back then we have like a TV station or program that we can all races can watch, and then it somehow the gap is not as wide as it is now lah. Now we consume
entertainment is also divided.
Yeah,
siloed already.
Yeah, correct.
So when you look at entertainment itself, so we tend to watch only entertainment that we enjoy, and then we take pride of. We had that conversation earlier, like some of our South Indians, they don't like the fact that a South Indian is doing another movie at another industry. அது கூட நம்ம வந்து ஒரு பெரிய பிரச்சனை மாதிரி பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம். But you look at the flip side, you see a lot of Malays, they are actually enjoying Tamil movies.
Yeah.
They are big fans of Vijay or something like that. We so அந்த மாதிரி கூட நம்ம விஜய் ஃபேனா இருக்க மாட்டோம், பட் தே ஆர் லைக் விஜய் அந்த மாதிரிலாம் பண்றானுங்க. ஸோ there is a lot of like I would say, like right now currently we are very much separated by race, and then that's why you can see that potential of people like throwing insults.
Things get sparked easily, much more easier. Yeah.
And then going back to that, also you have people who take upon themselves like they are the guardian or the culture. I mean Kaval Devam la to say for the Tamil people or for the Indian people of this
cultural gatekeepers la.
வந்துருவானுங்க போய் சொல்றதுக்கு, அவனுங்க என்ன அப்படி பேசிட்டானுங்க, நான் வந்து திருப்பி செய்யணும். Then I don't have to name names la. I think those of you who know usually what I post about, you'll know who it is la. நான் தப்பா cakap la,
I mentioned earlier, so
தேவையில்லை. So and then I think more or less we can come to our conclusion here. Like what do you think in essence? Like, do you think overall is the word killing relevant or irrelevant to you? What do you think about this? Vinod, what do you think?
It's relevant lah. I think it's relevant. Relevant in terms of identity. It's also relevant in terms of insult. I'm not throwing that out of the window.
Correct.
Because that is also true. So it is still relevant. Again, I think the word of the day is context lah.
Context.
Technically it's context lah. And it's relevant, but should you not take offense is another question. It's your thought processing altogether, like how you're going to process and how you're going to take it lah. But if you ask me, like, you don't have to go about it lah. It happens in every country, in every region, among all the races.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the end of it.
Yes.
It's going to keep happening as long as we are different from each other in terms of race, in language, culture, and everything. This shit is still going to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe like in 1,000 or 2,000 years like that, and everyone is merged into, like Russell Peters say, like all like
everyone
beach
is
people,
brown.
right?
Everyone is beach.
Beach, right? Probably. Then also, then they have some subdivision.
For sure, got subdivision. Yeah.
So because it's a part of human nature lah, I think.
Oh yeah.
The world
Subdivision சொன்னோனே எனக்கு subdivision சொன்னோனே எனக்கு ஜாதி தான் பத்தி தோணுது. அது ஒரு பெரிய கதை. Okay, never mind. It's okay. Continue.
So to answer your question like very shortly, irrelevant or relevant, I think it's relevant lah. In many ways, it's still relevant lah.
For me, I guess I would also like not to sound like எங்கள் வீட்டில் எல்லா நேரம் கார்த்திகை மாதிரி. I don't want to sound like everybody's on the same point இல்லை. I would also guess that it's relevant and also irrelevant lah. Depends on the context. Another example to put forward is like what you said. I think we all just talked about it earlier. I don't want to repeat myself. If someone actually throws out that word at you at a form of an insult, it doesn't have to be killing. So it can be, hey, brown fella. Even that so can be like a bit insulting. But in the way that the word is used, hey, brown fella.
Only I can list all the Indians, all the slur words, but I think it's a bit unnecessary.
Yeah, we can.
But
we need a separate episode for that.
There's a lot. Yeah.
So I'm guessing it's just how you take it as well. நீ வந்து அந்த வார்த்தை வந்து it doesn't matter what வார்த்தை. So கெட்ட வார்த்தை கூட இருக்கலாம், நல்ல வார்த்தை கூட இருக்கலாம். It's just how you perceive it and how you react to it. while we I don't want to talk about statistics about how little we are. That's not my concern. I'm not here to talk about politics or so. What I feel is that, if someone would use this kind of word again on you or what, you just have to manage it properly. நீ ஒரு இண்டிவிஜுவலா நல்லா இருக்கணும். You should by doing that, it doesn't matter what the others think of you or what. இவன் பேக்காரங்க போல இல்லைங்கன்னு சொல்லிக்கிட்டு இருக்கான், தெரியாம போய்கிட்டு இருக்கான். நான்லாம் வந்து
என்ன செய்யறது, அதுக்குன்னு என்ன செய்யறது, போயிட்டு எல்லாத்தையுமே அடிக்க முடியும். கொஞ்சம் like what do you usually do when you're on Facebook and you can see Keling this one, I just scroll like okay, go to the next post. Regardless you read it or not, it's going to be there. Whether you take offense or not also, it's going to be there. Whether you come in terms with it also, it's going to be there. It's going to keep happening. So how do we react to it? Sorry to cut you off. Go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead. And what do you think, Prakash? What do you want to conclude out of this?
Okay, for me, I think if you talk about I'm going to take it in a little bit more different direction. I'm going to say the word is irrelevant, but not as in like I said just now. I don't want the word to die. Right? But why I say it's irrelevant is because that's how I treat it. The word has no impact on me. The word is there. It can be used to describe something. It's the same as the word orange. It's not relevant to me.
Hey, orange.
Okay? It's not relevant to me. Orange can refer to a fruit, to a color. End of story. That's it. Right? No one's going to come and call a guy, except the orange man. I like him. But no one's going to insult, use like orange fella. No, right? But even if someone does insult you, like for example,
orange
people
man,
calling orange man, right? That guy doesn't care. He clearly doesn't care.
Yeah.
So that's how I would treat the word. As much as I would like it to stay around and be cleansed and all that, as I said earlier, I would treat it as irrelevant because it doesn't impact me in that sense. Me lah. I know to some people they may say it impacts them, and I'm not discounting their feelings. But to me, it doesn't impact me, and it's just a word like any other words, right? We can use other slurs. It's the same. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So yeah.
I think we all can agree that it's either between relevant or irrelevant. Grey zone இருந்துகிட்டே நம்ம வந்து இந்த எபிசோட வந்து சேஃபா முடிச்சுக்கலாம்.
We should be call ourselves.
Pull out the star word again lah.
Which is
relevant or irrelevant, it depends on the context.
On the context.
My relevancy, I said it's relevant, also depends on context. He said it's irrelevant, depends on context. Also,
It's contextual.
Correct.
Yeah. Should I call ourselves the grey seed theory?
Oh, not too late to change, don't worry.
தூக்கி வீசிடுவோம் அதை. தூக்கி வீசிட்டு என்ன புதுசாக செஞ்சிருவோம். So I think that pretty much wraps up our first episode. நல்லபடியா போகுதுன்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Thank you so much for you, the listener or the viewer, whoever you may be right now, listening to this whole thing. And moving forward, we'll have more episodes, and hopefully we'll have more guests. The whole idea of the Black Seed Theory is to have guests coming in. We don't want to be the only ones here and then talking cock stories, and maybe you might be bored of it. I don't know. Maybe you might think that இவனை பாரு மூஞ்சி எப்படி இருக்கு பாரு, ரொம்ப துறவா இருக்கான், வந்து பேசிக்கிட்டே இருக்கான், நல்லாவே இல்லை, I don't like this fella. I don't know. Maybe you might have a lot of opinions on the three of us. We welcome that. And as always, before we call an end for this episode, you can also email us at vandukadinga@gmail.com. It's our exclusive email for you to send any of your hate emails or any of your right after this episode you might think like
we will display it somewhere
maybe
around
display on top of my head, I don't know lah. vandukadinga@gmail.com. Maybe you might look in this episode and think like, இவனுங்களாம் யாரு இதுக்கு பேசிக்கிட்டு இருக்காங்க, இவங்களாம் பெரிய Keling பத்தி பேசுறதுக்கு நீங்களாம் யாருல, அந்த மாதிரி கூட இருக்கலாம். Or you might think that the three of us are talking with sense, so it doesn't matter who you may be lah. So just contact us. We appreciate all those emails and comments, and it's come to a point where I have to become like a Kenjivan level one. Please follow us and
please
like
hit
us.
follow and like
Subscribe, follow, tattunga adala button tattunga, bell icon tattunga, ellathiyum tattunga. Then as always, we appreciate your time for listening this to our first episode, and we'll see you soon then. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.